So hello my friends and welcome to a very special episode of Ups and Downs, because that's right, we are about to review Turning Point 2023, the latest Impact pay-per-view. And who was on that show? Well, it was some kind of bald a-hole. So now everybody is saying, Simon, you're going to be so biased. Clearly you've never watched this show before, because it's the most positive thing ever. And before we do get into it, I just want to shout out some things that happened on the pre-show. Because we had Grado and Rhino teaming up, and that kind of rhymes, so it must be good. And they were so damn nice to me backstage. I really appreciated it when we went into Mark Haskins versus Leon Slayer. Now this rules for me, because of course they are two homegrown UK talents, and not only are they superb people, but they are brilliant professional wrestlers. So to get them, see them do their thing on a stage like this, that's why I'm wearing the t-shirt. It made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Mark's wife / manager Vicky Haskins is also brilliant. And of course, over this weekend, Leon got signed to TNA / Impact Wrestling, and he totally deserves that. And Mark should probably get picked up somewhere soon, because again, this double act absolutely works. So I am going to give them an up, not only because they're brilliant people, but because they're damn good wrestlers too. And it was the same for Josh Alexander and Eric Young, who were taken on Subculture. Now the latter is of course Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, who are also two more UK talent who have been smashing an Impact over the last few months. And you could take any of these four guys and put them in any single promotion, and they would know how to make it work. It was just bonkers too, because it went move, move, reverse, transition, move, move, when the high flying started. And I was watching this backstage thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to follow this. I'm in trouble. Webster also did that crazy somersault thing to the back when all of a sudden Eric Young ruined him with a pile driver. When Webster saw that Josh Alexander was on the top rope, so he hit him with a Hurricane Rana. And all of that happened in about 45 seconds. Nobody glides through the air better than Mark Andrews either. It's like he kind of stops time, and I don't know how he does it, but ultimately Webster did get hit by the C4, courtesy of Josh Alexander, 1, 2, 3. So as ever, if you do have time, make sure you go check out all of these guys, because they never have a bad match. That's why they're getting it up. Which is also true in many ways of our next match, because it was Jazelle Shaw taking on Alex Windsor, somebody else who is a UK talent. Both of these guys also rule, and they did that thing when they started off where they wrestled each other, but because they kind of got to a standoff, they stared into each other's face, which in wrestling terms means it was super serious 9,000 times. This worked for the crowd too, because they were split right down the middle, so they could cheer for both of them. When Jazelle came back with a kick that was super, so Windsor retaliated with this massive clothesline. I kind of laughed. That looked pretty stiff. It took everybody down, and when they got up, they started smacking each other in the face. When we did what any good sports entertainment would do, we hit a damn cut. They got 1, 2, ooh when Alex had a great idea. Maybe I'll hit the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the Blue Thunder Bomb. And did it work? No, of course it didn't. It only works if you're in Saudi Arabia. Jazelle then got up and she was able to hit Windsor with a neck breaker because she wanted to break her neck. And I guess that was successful, because all of a sudden Alex didn't know what was going on. She got hit with all of these knees, and that was it. Jazelle Shaw won. So this was just a solid showcase match, and yeah, both will continue to fly because they have what it takes. Up. When some bald idiot cut a promo backstage. Now he seemed a little bit annoyed because one Joe Hendry had thrown chicken on him, and if I were he, and I am not he, maybe I'd be a little bit disappointed, because after it was done, he thought to himself, man, you know what, I probably could have done a better job. He felt this down in his tum-tum too, but of course this is all speculation, but just to right the wrongs that many people have said to a certain individual, sure, we'll give it a down. What a goober. I tell you who are not goobers though, Rich Swann and Trey Miguel. Now I'm going to cross that line again and just thank them for being such nice people and making me feel so welcome. And then they got in the ring, and as ever, it was just like, how did they do it? They're so damn good. Now we have spoken about Trey before and said that he hasn't got his due, although one day he definitely is. And it's basically the same for Rich Swann. He has been smashing it for years now, and people need to start blowing more smoke up his ass. What? They knew exactly what the fans wanted too, so they got into it, including Trey Miguel throwing Rich Swann into the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, and at one point it looked like he was going to get counted out, and he got back in at 9. He then got flattened with a leg drop, so Swann came back with a big old kick, and we got into the chops again, so you just hear this noise. I don't know why it's so satisfying, but it is. Miguel ended that with a poison rana when we got dual super kicks that popped everybody, when there was a lightning spiral from nowhere, 1, 2, ooh. Rich then remembered, as we've already talked about in this kind of situation, you do hit a cutter. That really made me chuckle. When he followed up with a 450 and he got the 1, 2, 3. So again, it was just such an enjoyable match, especially in a 2023 package. Can't go wrong with that. Also, thank goodness I didn't watch this on the night. I would have freaked out. I mean, the bald guy would have. When we got some more UK love. Because, of course, Dani Luna signed with Impact Wrestling a few months ago as part of Subculture, and she was taking on Jordynne Grace here. And this just reminded you that when it comes to the Knockouts division, well, I don't even think there's one small weak link. It was babyface versus babyface, so they shook hands too. When they got into this battle of power, and they got so out of control, they fell out of the ring, and they both almost got counted out. Now, actually, if we had done that a little bit later in the match, I would have thought it was quite the creative finish. We then got into a shoulder tackle battle, which Jordynne was able to win, but then Dani Luna was able to reverse the suplex into the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. Sadly, here it didn't work. We then got some big slapping back fists, clotheslines, headbutts of all things, when Dani hit this mad German suplex, minor Guter. Sadly, that was her peak, because Jordynne Grace realized, man, I've just got to finish you off because you keep getting in my way. She hit another back fist, she hit the Grace driver, and she got the 1, 2, 3. So there you go. I really did enjoy it though, because it just ticked the exact box that it needed to tick up. When we got to our next match. This is weird, isn't it? So let's just talk about it and throw all the pomp and circumstance out the window, because indeed, it was me, Simon Miller, taking on Joe Hendry. And let's face it, given how long Ups and Downs has been going, and given the fact they have been wrestling pretty much ever since Ups and Downs began, well, it was always going to happen eventually. And the first thing I do want to do is thank everybody for the feedback. We're going off-piste here, because whether it was positive or negative, I tell you this, I just felt so damn privileged to be part of the conversation. I mean, a wider audience commenting on one of my matches? Oodalally. I also thought we should read some of these, and they're real comments. So one said, Miller has no talent. Another said, why is this mark in the ring? And another one said, this fool can never give a WWE match another down after that. I was like, bro, you clearly don't watch the show. I don't do it anyway. Otherwise, no. This did not go well for me, and I just want to say that I don't think people showed enough respect for what happens here on YouTube and all the work we put in here at What Culture. And Joe Hendry definitely didn't agree with that, and he did a sneak attack on me. That's what happened. He snuck up behind me, and I wasn't ready for it. I didn't even hit the bell ring, and just when I was about to get the 1, 2, 3, he hit me with a standing ovation, and I lost. I mean, to be completely honest, I was still quite sad about the horrible entrance video he had made about me and insulted my hair. So here's what I'm gonna do. I am gonna give Joe an up because he did exactly what he said he was going to do, and you've got to sometimes call a spade a spade. But I should give myself a down for the satisfaction of many. And also, let's face it, let's look at the world how it is. You always have to strive to do better. However, I don't think this is over. I do not forgive Joseph Hendry. In fact, I feel like he pulled a fast one here. So yeah, I would watch this space if I were you, because Simon Miller, internet darling, is not done. Also, just to pop back in here quickly, I do just want to say, at the time of my life, I couldn't have had more fun. I really want to thank Impact Wrestling for giving me the opportunity, and for every single person that was there in Newcastle on that night. I'm just going to say it again, because on the t-shirt, you made me feel so damn warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. I had a 6-hour drive home after that match, and I didn't have to stop once, because I was buzzed on adrenaline. So again, from the bottom of my Tootsie Toes, thank you for letting me live my dreams. You all rock. When Moose and Brian Myers took on Frankie Kazarian and Chris Sabian, and honestly, they just walked out there and they had a really fun match. Now, Sabian had to avoid the double team to begin with, even though he was fighting bigger guys, but amazingly, because he got so much experience, he was able to do it. Then Moose eventually threw him on the outside, but Chris and Kaz had a plan. They were gonna crotch Moose using the ring apron when Brian Myers fell into his own partner's face. Whoops. Well, I think Moose was a bit embarrassed by that because he came back with the power of Hades, whatever that means. But as soon as Brian Myers got in there, he got totally murked. That's right, he got hit with a cutter. I told you. Sabian then turned a Uranagi into the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. That didn't work. So he got out of it. He just started busting out code reds. And I was like, oh yeah, Chris Sabian, really good. It was also a great sequence because then Moose started then headbutting people when he turned into a car as well. I was just laughing. 5 stars, 6.25 in the Tokyo Dome. Kazarian then went for a Hurricane Rana on Moose, but he was done by this point and he threw him into the ring post when Brian Myers was like, well, wait a minute, I need something. And he destroyed Kaz with a spear. Dead. Kazarian then tried to utilize the chicken wing, but Moose hit with another spear and they got the 1, 2, 3. That kind of surprised me. I didn't think they were going to win. Once again, though, it was just so enjoyable to watch, and they all know what they're doing. And it was the same for our Knockouts title match too. I mean, it was Trinity versus Deonna Purrazzo. Now, I really do think these two are at the top of their game at the moment and producing really good stuff. Plus, we had Gail Kim as the referee. This had everything. They went all wrestling here too because they were going for moves but the other person was avoiding them, including ducking a clothesline and hitting all of the double drop kicks. I was a bit like, wait a minute, this is like fighting Mirrored Link. Deonna then realised he needed something more, so she whacked Trinity right in the throat, which looked horrible. But man, Trinity came back with that split leg thing she does, so Deonna threw her out the ring and started snapping the arm. She was warming her up. This is when Purrazzo went after all the limbs, because if you don't have arms or legs, you're not going to be a very good wrestler. When Trinity came back with a Samoan drop. Now look, technically she's not Samoan, but she is married to one, so it counts. Somehow Purrazzo went from that right into the armbar, but Trinity had to get to the ropes, when all of a sudden we got the Queen's Gambit and we got the 1-2-ooh. I was like, that's it, we doing big time matches. She then yelled at Gail Kim, which she shouldn't have done, because she kind of forgot she was in a match, when all of a sudden she found herself in Starstruck. But as soon as she got out of there, Trinity hit the sit-out buster, and she went back into the Starstruck. This time, she was just trying to pull Deonna Purrazzo's head off, and clearly she wanted a skull on her neck. She tapped out. Of course, Purrazzo attacked Trinity afterwards when Gail Kim got involved, and she took her out so that Trinity and Gail could stand tall. Trinity is still your champion. So yeah, this ticked all the boxes. They couldn't have done a better job. Which brought us to our main event. And what do you even say? I mean, Will Ospreay is having one of the best calendar years ever for any professional wrestler, because it doesn't matter who you put him in there with, he just busts out classics. Also, he was taking on Eddie Edwards here. Eddie Edwards ain't no slouch. He knows what he's doing, so they created magic. Like a wizard. Ospreay was clearly up for this because he was telling Ed to chop him harder and harder, which he did. This didn't end up very well for Ospreay at all, because eventually Edwards grabbed him and basically smushed him into the ground. Ospreay soon came back with the ultimate comeback move of 2023, the crossbody, when he also hit a Stun Dog Millionaire. And if you went quiet, you could hear Orange Cassidy, well, not doing much of anything, he wouldn't have cared. Will then hit his go button because he smashed Eddie right in the face. He followed it up with the super kick, then he was hitting Spanish flies, and he was hitting Oz cutters for the 1-2-ooh. That's when I could feel it building. I was like, man, Ospreay about to go nuts. Edwards then came back with the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the Blue Thunder Bomb. And did it work? I've already told you no, not on this side of the world. He then did go for the Boston Knee Party though, and I actually thought he was gonna hit it, but he totally missed. Instead, Ospreay hit the hidden blade, but man, Eddie Edwards totally no-sold that. And I started to get really excited because I'm weird. He also got the big knee for an amazing 1-2-ooh when they started trading headbutts, which is kind of the other theme of the show. And the clothesline Edwards gave to Will after this. This is what I did with my hand. It was brutal. Ospreay then got the Tiger Driver for a 1-2-ooh, and he got the Hidden Blade for a 1-2-ooh, when he decided, well look, I am basically in a TNA ring, and he hit the Stars Clash. This was done at exactly the right time. This crowd went nuts. It also meant that we had peaked, so we hit the Hidden Blade and finished him off with the Stormbreaker for the 1-2-3. I suppose if you want to find a little bit of criticism, nobody thought that Eddie Edwards was going to win here, but who cares about that when you get a match that was this damn well put together? It is absolutely getting an up. You should go and watch it. Which of course brings us to the end of Turning Point. I am going to give it an up, and I know, Simon, of course you were going to say that. I mean, it's not true, but you're allowed to believe whatever the hell you want to believe. A massive thank you to Impact once more. I really did have the time of my life, and it's lit a fire under my ass, to the point this is not a one and done. Somehow we're going to get back there, but still up. Now please do leave a comment below, and again man, if you thought my match was trash, you have an open forum. I'm happy for all feedback. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen right now, which is Ups and Downs for Crown Jewel. We've also reviewed that. I have to go and lay down. I'm so damn sick. I'm coughing my guts up. But once again, a big thank you to Impact Wrestling. Take care of yourself, my friends. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Who the flub knows?